Breaking news coming in here on headlines today. Pakistan has sought a reduction in tension at the international border and the line of control. Pakistan wants a resumption of dialogue. The Pakistan government has instructed the Pakistan Rangers and the army not to initiate any further gun battles at the border or along the line of control. The decision on the road ahead will be discussed at the National Security Council meeting tomorrow. Pakistan is expected to make an official statement after that meeting tomorrow in what appears to be the most definite, most marked signal calling for a reduction in the hostilities that have spanned the last 5 days on the border and resulted in casualties on both sides. On India's side, 8 people dead, all of them civilians, and over 50 people injured. Let's go straight across to headlines today's Hamza Amir joining us live from Islamabad. Hamza, a change of heart from the Pakistan establishment calling for a winding down of these hostilities. There's a crucial meeting that's going to be taking place tomorrow at the National Security Council. What are we expecting and why is this happening now?
Well, Shiv, as you know, this aggression from both sides has been going on, and unfortunately enough, both sides have civilian casualties.
Yes.
And now the media actually has started going on both sides of the border and started reporting and visualizing what actually has been going on. We have also got visuals from Chaprar sector where people have died and bombs have landed on people's inside people's house, and there are many mortar shells that are still there and have not been even picked up. They did not actually blow up. So this is a very dangerous situation. People are now in thousands relocating and emptying those villages and going to safer locations. That is why the government now was forced to do so, that they have to come down to a solution. They have to sit and talk to both sides that this has to stop. Because one thing is for sure, wherever there are civilian casualties, the checkpoints in front of that are not actually, the places where the army sits on both sides, because they know from where the firing starts, the reaction comes back on the same side. So they don't sit there. And I have seen that the checkpoints in front of Chaprar are actually empty. So why would, both sides have actually taken the very wrong route of reaction to each other. One kills civilian, the other one targets also civilian as well. So this is the pressure that actually has forced Pakistani government to sit down and come down to a proper official statement, because there is criticism that the government is not actually, raising its voice enough as it has been done from the Indian side.
Hamza, just stay with me for a moment. I also want to bring in Wajad Khan, senior journalist in Pakistan. Wajad, thanks for joining us for a moment here on Headlines today. Wanted to get your perspective, Wajad, on how you're reading this situation. A few hours ago, the Indian Defence Minister said, and among what he said, I just want to quickly quote one of those lines. He said, Pakistan in these attacks has clearly been the aggressor, but it must realize that our deterrence will be credible. If Pakistan persists with this adventurism, our forces will make the cost of this adventurism unaffordable. The perception is that India sticking its ground and sort of giving it back to Pakistan has forced Pakistan, boxed it into a corner to actually try and wind down these tensions. What are you hearing from your sources across the border, Wajad?
Hi, thanks for taking me on. The words of the Indian Defence Minister have resonated far and wide in Pakistan, no doubt, and in fact have responded to by Pakistan's own defense minister in something which wasn't too dissimilar. However, if you ask me personally to analyze it, I think this is the classic case of war where everybody's right and everybody's wrong at the same time. Unfortunately, for both sides, the casualties, which usually include military personnel, have now filtered down onto the civilian population. That's rather unfortunate.
Yes.
What's even more unfortunate is that it is unclear, depending on either narrative, on who to believe. It's not clear whether the Pakistanis are the aggressors or the Indians, because if you talk to one side, the other side basically parlays the first side's description of where this started. However, the mood on the ground here is rather sober, because there is already a massive military operation going on in another part of the country.
Correct.
Which has the military deeply stretched, overstretched really. And of course, unlike India, Pakistan has not really managed to fight the menace of terror, which still and pervades and in fact invades our major cities and our rural populations. At this time, there is a two-front confrontation would stretch the military thin.
Absolutely.
And of course, Pakistan's own internal problems, like the famous civil-military divide between the military as well as the civilian government, does not create a lot of confidence. However, people are putting their heads together. The Prime Minister has been at the side of the army chief today with the troops in Waziristan. But I would really beg everyone in the subcontinent right now to let heads prevail.
Absolutely. Wajad, thanks very much for joining us. Sultan Ali, defense analyst, also with us live from Islamabad. Mr. Ali, how are you reading this very perceptible sort of change in the tone and tenor of what's happening between India and Pakistan on the border? The guns have fallen silent. There's an air of sobriety within Pakistan. There are feelers coming in from there saying we want to, restart the dialogue process. What's going on? What's made this possible, sir?
Well, to start with, I wish this sense of sobriety and this feeling that we must put an end to retaliation, whether it was a tit-for-tat thing, and we cannot really determine who started first. I mean, being a Pakistani, I would love to do some India bashing and something coming from the other side, but let's be reasonable. It was human lives which were being lost. It was human beings who were being laying down their lives and are suffering. So I think good sense has prevailed, which should have prevailed a little earlier. I wish it had happened. But the main thing is that the realization is there that this is not the solution. I mean, we are living in the 21st century. Your Prime Minister, our Prime Minister, we have, promised, we have come on a promise to our people that we are going to make their lives better. And I don't think we can achieve anything unless we stop fighting with each other. And we actually have a common enemy. The common enemy is terror. And we have to tackle it. If we don't pull our act together, if we don't cooperate with each other and remove the distrust, I don't think we can achieve to our true potential.
Sultan Ali, thanks for joining us with your perspective on this. But there are some tough questions as well. The sobriety is good. It's very welcome. We need to build on it to move forward because neither country wants war at this stage. But that doesn't mean that the questions on the table can be ignored. Who started the fight? Who escalated it? What was the modus operandi? Was there a political consensus about what was happening? What was India's response like? Why was it unprecedented? These are questions that it is imperative that this country answers if it wants to make sure that this is a real turning point as far as provocations from Pakistan are really concerned.